Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South, episode 306. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, I have a familiar face for people in Nashville, Tennessee. Someone that used to be on Channel 2. That would be, for those that don't know, that's WKRN Nashville, for those that aren't aware and watching from around the world. But that would be Miss Samaria Terry. What's going on, Samaria?
Hey, Mike, I was going to say you need to get a new picture because your hair is so long now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. One of these days, I'll get together these pennies and dimes and get me another photo shoot. But, right now, I just tried to change the background, do a little something different and, something like that. But, we'll get there eventually, we just got to pinch these pennies and keep these lights on over here.
Well, shout out to your loctician because they do a good job.
Yep, that is her name is Natalie, by the way, and she definitely Beauty by Drew. So that is Beauty by Drew LLC. I'm gonna shout her out on the air, and then she probably be like, "Why did you do that?" But this is episode 306, and we're gonna talk about some AFC South stuff. We're gonna talk about some NFL football stuff as well.
Yeah,
ought to be fun. But
yeah,
before we get into that, we do have to do the Get Off Your Chest segment, and I have to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, they're 6-3. People were down on them when they lost to Cleveland, and Jameis and giving the speech and quoting Eminem and all that stuff. Even though I will say this, when Jameis gets done playing football, he's going to have one of the best careers in TV or whatever he does because he is hilarious. I love him. I love listening to him talk. As long as he don't do the eat the W speech no more, we'll be all right. But
he needs to be like a televangelist or something, like just
oh my goodness,
be like the next Joel Osteen. Like you need to just
a black Joel Osteen would be hilarious. I would crack up laughing. But switching over to the Ravens, of course, they're 6-3. They just dominated the Broncos, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, what can you say about him? 68.2% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Yes, Lamar Jackson only has 2 interceptions. It shocked me when I read it too. I was like, hold up, what? And he has 505 yards rushing. Not to be, overtaken or not to be overtaken in this scenario, though. You do have King Henry back there. 1,052 yards, 6.3 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns. And you do have Zay Flowers, 67 receptions, 654 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, this Ravens offense is cooking. And I will say I did see a picture of a couple characters from The Wire, and they said that was Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And yes, they are running the city of Baltimore right now. They are cooking, I will say, right now. And the wiretaps ain't gonna help them. Yeah. So that's all I can say. But yes, I love watching the Ravens. I love that Lamar Jackson is playing well, and I love that he may be on the way to his 3rd MVP. You got some thoughts on Lamar Jackson? Because I had to talk about him just a little bit.
No, I really am a huge fan of Lamar Jackson. I do feel like when you have a team like Baltimore, everybody is going to come up and play them tough. That's the only problem. Like they can't really have a down day or maybe somebody's off because, like I said, everybody's going to play them the toughest. And so I think that we saw that, especially in that Cleveland game, because there's no way famous Jameis should have came in, and beat them like that. But I think a lot of people have that game circled on their schedule, especially because he is the reigning MVP. But I think that they're going to go, I hope farther than they did last year, especially with Derrick Henry, who's one of those, another Titans player leaving Tennessee, and doing well. I was so mad at DeAndre Hopkins last night. I was like, And then he did the Remember the Titans. We were actually just talking about this on the girls' podcast because I was like, well, what do y'all make of him doing? I just completely segued on your show. I'm sorry, Mike. But I was like, what did y'all think of him doing the Remember the Titans little dance or whatever? And because we've covered DeAndre, we know that was, it was like an honor thing. Like, shout out to y'all. I don't think it was like shady, but a lot of people thought it was shade that maybe don't know him personally like that.
Right. He had to correct them on social
He
media.
did. He did.
Actually,
Because he
yeah.
loved, I
I
mean,
knew
he
he
really
was.
loved Nashville. He really loved
Mhm,
Nashville. I think that he loved the team. But it
mhm.
is good to see these guys unfortunately leave, but have some success.
I will say this
Right.
though, I will say this, and I can say this now because DeAndre Hopkins isn't here. But I was actually riding,
Uh-huh.
doing Lyft driving. It's Friday night, so I'm doing Lyft driving. It's Friday or Saturday night. I can't remember which one. But
Yeah.
I'm riding along. I'm down on Broadway, so I picked up some customers. I'm getting ready to take them and turn the corner on Fifth and Broad. Right.
Okay.
I look over on the right. Who do I see? It's about 12 o'clock down there. Who do I see on the right hand side on what seems to be a date?
Was it D Hop?
Yeah, it was D
When
Hop.
was this like?
This was like on a Friday night. Like they were getting ready to play a home game. I looked over. I'm like, oh, look at D Hop out here. Yeah, out here kicking it, I guess. Right?
Yeah,
He's
they
getting ready
said
to
that they
walk
be
down.
out.
Yeah, he's getting ready to
They
walk
said
down
they,
Broadway.
they said they be out. I mean, win or lose, I think they be downtown. So
Yeah,
I don't. Well, more losing, but we'll
yeah,
get to that, I guess.
yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But now we whispering, y'all. But but yeah, that was we had to talk about the get off your chest segment. Of course, the former Titans players have moved on. We're gonna get into that one just a little bit too. But we do
Yeah.
have to get into one thing first, and that's what you have been up to, Miss Samaria Terry. Now, I would say this: I did watch Sports Extra on WKRN, and you did a wonderful job there. But you know, things change, scenes change
Yeah.
as well. So now you're doing a couple of different things. I want to start with the one thing that you are doing. You are the co-host of a show on called The Fumble.
Yes.
Yes. So how did that happen? How did that come about?
It's so funny because I want to say about this time last year, I knew that my contract was up in 1 year, and I was
Mhm,
trying to figure out what I wanted to do moving forward. And so I was like, I knew that I wanted to get out of local TV. I just felt like I wasn't being fulfilled in that space anymore. And I thought about maybe
mhm,
applying for a job like with the Falcons, like going home, or maybe working for the Hawks or something like that, where I'm still in a sports realm, but it just looks different. I'm just pivoting. Because I was
mhm,
just like the hustle and bustle of local TV, it just wasn't given. Okay. Like the kids say, it wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. It
mhm,
just wasn't for me anymore. Um, I think unfortunately, like the company that I worked for was cutting back a lot. And that
mhm,
was very detrimental to me in
mhm,
my future with the company because it's like you cover the Titans and you want to go and travel to these games and be able to do the things. And not even just that. I mean, we're supposed to be so, and I hate to sit here and talk negatively, but we're supposed to be
mhm,
so Vols centric. And if we're covering the Vols, why am I not going to bowl games? Why am I not going to NCAA tournaments? You know what I mean? Like there was so many sports that we could have followed and we weren't able to do that because of finances. And so I think it was that. I think it was, like I said, the cutting back, the department was smaller. And so I just felt like I wanted to be in something that was a little bit more flexible, something where I could have a family and still do it. I mean, think about me like trying to have kids and I'm doing training camp and like mugging this equipment and all this stuff. Like, yeah. So I wanted to
Can I
pivot
can
and
I
they
interrupt you
reached
for a
out.
second?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to actually say that, when she says lugging around this equipment, y'all, if you have not seen her at Titans practice, she would have this nice wagon with full of all this different stuff, and she'd be pulling it along. And I'd be like, wow, she's out here
Yeah.
getting a whole full training camp workout. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
And
just
the
had to let
camera
people
is
know.
huge and all the things. And funny enough, the executive producer of the Fumble found me like on TikTok
Hmm.
and reached out and we did a phone call and he's like, hey, like I really want you to be a part of this new show. Like they hadn't even really figured out how they were going to revamp the show that they just purchased. And so it just kind of went from there. And it was so perfect. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I was able to do it, it overlapped. with my
Mhm.
last job. And so it was just really perfect because I got to get a feel for it. And I let them know, hey, starting in October, I will be able to do this full time. And so, yeah, it's just been great because I do it one day a
Okay.
week,
There we go.
you know?
There we
Yeah.
go. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, I've got to ask, the show, it definitely does broach some topics that, you probably wouldn't touch in a local market and things like that.
Yes.
So how does it kind of go in terms of the chemistry, in terms of talking about those different things and the
Mhm.
interaction in terms of those different topics as well?
Yeah, I think that that's probably been one of the most difficult parts is because I haven't had a platform where I can speak freely. Just, when
Hmm.
I do sports extra or I just do a normal sports cast, that is like something that I have written, and I just read what I wrote. And it's usually very factual, which I try to do now on the Fumble, but it's not a lot of opinion, right? I'm saying Will Levis threw for this. He had this many interceptions
Hmm.
or whatever. It's just very fact based. And then I'm like, and after the game, he said this, very structured. So now I think that it's been a challenge for me to just kind of let loose and just speak and say what I feel and what's going on. And if that was boneheaded, then it was bonehead, And so I feel like it's been the most difficult part for me, but it's
Hmm.
been very rewarding in my personal opinion too. Did I lose you?
Hmm. Got you. Got you.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah, I'm right here. There we go. Had a little
Okay.
bit of technical difficulties over here, but hey,
Okay.
you know how it is with internet in the South. It's all I can say is internet in the South. But you know what? I'll say that's not the only thing that you're working on that's new.
Yeah.
You also have the No Girls Allowed in the Locker Room podcast, which is with the women of Titans coverage. Which I saw that pop up. I was like, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
new. I didn't know this was coming, but it's maybe the show that you didn't know you needed. So, how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so it's really funny, but those are like really close friends of mine, and we became really close by covering all things Tennessee sports. And we would just be like, "Hey, like y'all want to go and get a drink or something after a long week, or it's Sunday and maybe the Titans had lost, and we're like, y'all, we need to go tomorrow because we would normally all be off on Mondays, and we were like, let's go to happy hour or something, and we would just be talking about stuff like the team or other teams." In the area. And we would always just joke, like, we need to do a podcast where we can talk about what it's really like being a woman in sports, because I think that that's a space that isn't occupied enough. And so once I got here to Detroit, I was like, I have time. So let's just start filming and I'll edit it and put it together. And that's how it started. And so we try to touch on different topics. Like last week, we talked about dating, being a woman in sports and dating, and if men are comfortable with dating you because you are in the locker rooms. And what do we think about being in the locker room? And I was very candid about my disdain
I
for the locker
heard.
room. I hate being in the locker room. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. And so I don't care if the NFL says y'all out of here, because I don't think that we have to be in there. And then we actually filmed an episode today and we talked about some of the low points in our careers and our journeys to getting to where we are, and how, we feel like maybe some of the younger women coming up can kind of hear, because maybe that's not something that we heard, like it's not going to be easy. Like we've heard that it's not going to be easy, but why isn't it easy? Um, and so we talked about that today. And I think like maybe next week we're talking about if, how many times have people asked you if you really know sports? So we'll talk about
Mm.
Titans too, but we'll also talk
Mhm.
about some of those other issues, because I feel like, and I got a lot of good feedback last week. People were just interested, like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't even realize that that was a thing that y'all had to go through. But I do get a lot of DMs on Instagram from women that are up and coming that have these questions. And so now they can go on our platform and see all of that. So that's really what it's about. And then us just kind of talking and running our mouth like we would normally do.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell people where they can catch the Fumble and where they can catch the No Girls Allowed in the Locker Room podcast?
Yeah, so the Fumble is at the Fumble Sports. If you go on my platform, Samaria Terry TV, you can see the link. It's in my bio. And then the No Girls Allowed, I think it on Instagram, it's nogirlsallowed.pod. And on there, you can see the link to our YouTube channel. So please go and subscribe. We are a baby channel, okay? We are not like Mike's channel. We are a baby channel. So go show us some love. But I will say this though, Mike, I want to give you your flowers before I forgot. This guy right here, you guys, he will support everything that you do. It is so crazy. And it's rare to find somebody that will go and support and like and comment. And it's so excited. He's so excited about any new project that you're doing. And I think that's why it's so easy for a lot of us to jump on his show, because he supports us so effortlessly and it's appreciated. And I want to thank you, Mike, for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm being silly, but yeah, thank you. Just being serious. Thank you. It's very easy. Something easy to do is to support people, as opposed to, it takes more energy to hate on people than it does to support people. So, definitely. Thank you again for coming on. Of course, it's not the end of the show, folks. Don't turn off the show. But but I just want to thank you for the kind words. I know you didn't have to say those, and those weren't prompted, but I definitely appreciate those words. But of course, I did bring you on the show to talk a little AFC South and NFL football, and we're gonna do that. But of course, I got to pay bills as well. So
yes.
We're gonna do that. Of course, take a nice quick 1 minute break, and we'll be back on touring the AFC South.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get this the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, and we are back on touring the AFC South. And like I mentioned before the break, we got to talk a little football, and we're going to talk this AFC South. And we're going to start with Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans did go to 2-6. They did win this weekend versus the New England Patriots. Of course, it went to overtime. Drake May had 11 seconds to scramble around and find somebody, and you're seeing like all the Titans players diving after him, and then he finds Ramondre Stevenson off in the corner, which I couldn't believe that happened. But, hey, it did. But they're 2-6. Not exactly what a lot expected, but did you expect the Titans to be 2-6 at this point based off all the moves they made this offseason?
No. If you had told me that, Mike, I would have said, shut your mouth. I thought that they would be having the season that Washington's having. I really did. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were all on the Brian Callahan train. I mean, I think that some of us are still on there, but the way that they talked about, the players talked about the change, the atmosphere, the vibes, I think Chigo Okonkwo used. I was like, okay, guys feel free, like they don't feel like stuffed, but maybe that's what they needed, Mike. I don't know, because I'm just like, y'all, now you're too free and you look crazy. You know what I mean? And so we were just talking about this on No Girls Allowed. We were talking about Will Levis and, him deciding now to seek out, a psychiatrist to kind of help him with the mental aspect. Because I think that that's been the biggest thing for him, because we've seen the talent. Like, the guy ceiling is really high. But unfortunately, the floor is not. I think that my girlfriend Lauren Walsh said that from Channel 4. The floor is low, but the ceiling's high. And I think that the mental piece is going to be what is needed for him to kind of get over this hump, because unfortunately, Mason Rudolph is not a superstar, but he has been able to connect with Calvin Ridley in a way that we hadn't seen. And I was at the Lions game last week, and I was worried. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was really stressed out about that game, because I knew it was a trap game, and I knew that the Titans were playing for the future of their careers. So I'm like, they can really come in and shake the table if they wanted to. And they looked like they were doing that. Like the first couple of drives, I'm like, okay, they look good. Like, nobody can stop Calvin Ridley. He's great. And then they have these errors, and then they weren't able to rebound from that, unfortunately. Special teams was a disaster. But back to your question, I'm sorry, I'm just going all over the place. I did not expect them. I thought that the money that they spent, all of the memes of Rand Carthon with his chef's hat on, like, let him cook. I mean, if they passed the eye test, the roster did. You got a head coach in here who's an offensive mind. But something that I didn't even realize was that he didn't even call the plays in Cincinnati.
Oh yes, yeah, I knew that one.
It's a mirror image of what it is in Tennessee. He was like a Nick Holtz, where you're just kind of there, but you didn't call the plays. Zach Taylor called the plays. So this is really his first time calling the plays, and we can kind of see him in real time work out the kinks. And I think that's why there was emotion from him on Sunday after the win. And he said, I really needed this, because you can tell that he's been working really hard to try to put something together. Unfortunately, though, the Titans have a tough next 4 games. I think it's Chargers, then they play the Vikings at home, and then it's the Texans on the road, or is it the Texans at home? I can't remember. And then you play Washington. So I'm like, it's not looking good moving forward.
Yeah, not necessarily looking great, not necessarily looking great. But I will say that, one thing I am interested in looking at is, of course, Will Levis, like you mentioned, he has been a guy. I said before the season, they just need him to be solid. He hasn't necessarily been solid, so hence what we've got now. Oh yeah, I will also say this about the Minnesota Vikings game. Even though I do want the Titans to do well, I am wondering if they get an interception, the Vikings, if that guy's going to repeat the Usher dance, the Usher tick dance he did. I'm wondering if he's going to repeat that, or if he's going to repeat the parent trap, or whatever dancing, because like they actually had him on TV. I think he practices these dances. I'm like, man, yes, give me the choreographed dances like T.O. did. Please give me those again. But I just wonder about that. But getting back to my question and my thoughts. But Will Levis, I thought he was going to be a little bit more solid than what he was. I was at least hoping that for Titans fans. I was hoping that for them because, of course, like I call him the Mayo Messiah. That's my nickname.
That's where he messed up. Let's keep it a buck, okay? Hellman's, you going to HE double hockey sticks because you messed up that boy. Him doing those commercials, I think it was Jeff Simmons was like, that was weird. Like, you doing these commercials, you got the cologne. I mean, like, he literally was on top of the world, Mike. He really was. And everything crumbled. It crumbled. And I was so surprised, especially when it's training camp and Will is talking about how he's able to speak up in the meeting room and talk about, hey, like, I want to do this way, or he's at practice and he's like, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable with this. Can I, like, he actually has a voice that he didn't have before in previous coaching staffs. So I was like, oh, they're just going to let it rip. And in training camp, or not in, well, yeah, in training camp, We didn't see that connection between him and Calvin. That's why we talked about it so much. That's why we kept asking both of them, when are we going to see this connection? In the games that they got to play, wasn't a whole lot, but in the preseason games that they got to play, I felt like Callahan was so conservative. And I was like, is he just kind of keeping this in his pocket? Or is he really going to be conservative? And then the season started and he's conservative.
Yeah.
It was, it was, I mean, I thought they were going to let it rip. I'm like, do y'all not trust him to let it rip?
Well, it seems like they don't.
It seems like they don't. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but when he first started the game, I don't know if you got this in your Twitter feed or anything, but when we said anything about Will Levis or whatever, Hellman's mayonnaise was like retweeting or liking our tweets. I don't know if you saw that or not, or had that happen to you. But yeah, anything I put about Will Levis when he was starting his first game, like Hellman mayonnaise was like retweeting it or liking it. And I was like, okay, what is going on? And it was like everybody in the box was getting that. It wasn't just me. So that's why I was like, what is going on?
They messed that boy up. They messed him up. And then he was like a meme. I'm sorry. See, I go on. He was a meme every week. And Paul Kaharski asked him, like, hey, like, do you think that you should go and seek some outside help? Some guidance, some counseling. And he's like, no, I'm okay. And so I think last week he finally came out and said, yeah, I'm actually going and trying to get some help outside. And I think that that's going to be the biggest thing for him because he's gone through it. It's been rough for Will Levis this season. Yeah,
it definitely has been rough for him. But, we're going to speak about another team. We're going to kind of jump off the Will Levis train. We're going to jump on the Texans train. Now, the Texans, I'm sorry, I was about to say the Jetsons. I don't know why I was about to say that. But anyway. Yeah, it was good. The future doesn't look anything like what they said. They are 6-3, the Texans, after a bad loss to the Jets. I was watching that game and I'm like, okay, eventually they're going to take these things the Jets are giving to them, but eventually they didn't. And, of course, I know they've lost Diggs for the year. I know Nico Collins is out right now with, a hamstring issue, but he's supposed to be back soon. But, just looking at the Texans, do they look like underwhelming to you, or is it just me?
Yeah, they do. It may be they were so high off last year that it didn't. I hate to say that because, like you just mentioned, they are battling a lot of injuries. I know even Will Anderson was hurt. I don't know the extent of his injuries, but they are they are pretty beat up. And I don't know if they have the weapons that can come in and replace those key people. Like if you only have Tank Dell right now, really. I mean, if you got some other receivers, I don't know their name, but you're missing Nico.
Some, but you don't, I'll give you one, but he went to the rival school. That would be John Mitchell III.
Oh, right. But, is he playing? He's playing now?
He's playing. Yeah, he's playing.
Okay. Well, okay. Well,
and then you have a wide receiver from Iowa State too.
Okay, if they can get Mechie going, great. Him and Tank maybe can do something. But that offensive line, CJ Stroud is getting beat down. Okay, beat down. And I don't think, was it that bad last year? I'm trying to remember, but
it wasn't as bad.
Okay, so I'm like, did y'all not put any money into that? Y'all got to realize the offensive line is so important. That literally will make or break a team. If you don't know that by now, as a general manager, I don't know what to tell you. But I think that's really the difference, is that CJ does not look as comfortable as he did last year.
Yeah, he doesn't. I will say that, they did have Kenyon Green in there, who was their first round pick from a couple years ago. He's hurt himself. So I think the other Green is going in now. So they have two. He hurt himself. He hurt his like a pectoral shoulder injury.
Oh, so I did see that. I did. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So he's out the game, and I can't remember who else, but another Green is going in. So the Green that replaced it was starting for him last year is now in there, which Texans fans have probably been calling for anyway, because they're not very high on Kenyon Green. So maybe that will help them, but it's just a lot going on. You got you got Robert Woods is playing some wide receiver snaps now.
He's saw that. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's still in the league. I did see him. I was like, oh my God, look at Robert. Oh, I'm sorry to go back to that just reminded me when you talked about Kenyon Green, is that Lloyd Cushenberry is hurt. So I think the Titans offensive line is about to collapse. They're about to collapse because he was the glue. And so you got Corey Levin in there. I was surprised that they got Corey Levin over Brunskill.
They didn't go to Brunskill?
They didn't go to Brunskill.
Ooh.
Well, he was he was doing backup reps during training camp, and he didn't like it though. He's like, I don't really want to be a center. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry to go back to Titans. Let's continue moving forward. But that just reminded me of that. That's a big story too.
You're all good. No worries. But yeah, I had to ask. I was like, man, I know it ain't just me that seems like they're underwhelming. But yeah, they're defensive wise too. You also look at them. You got Derek Stingley Jr. on one side. You got Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie at safety. Then you got not Kwame Lassiter. You got Lassiter on one side. It was the rookie out of Georgia. But to me, I still think I don't trust their safety pairing because Jimmy Ward can't stay healthy. Jalen Petrie, sometimes he want to tackle, sometimes he don't. Even though I love Jalen Petrie's game, but he's sometimes on tackle. He's like, do I really want this contact today or no? He's kind of like that type of guy sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know about that. So, it is what it is. We'll see what happens with the Texans, but I don't know what to say about them sometimes. They're kind of underwhelming. But I'll speak about another team that's underwhelming too. That would be the Jacksonville Jaguars, because plenty of people thought they were either going to be second in the division or fighting for the division. I personally didn't think that. I had them finishing last in the division. And it looks like I'm closer to right than anybody else at this point. And, of course, they're just, I don't know what to say about them. I didn't expect them to have great things happen. I will say Brian Thomas Jr. did do better than I thought he was going to do. But the rest of the team, I'm just like, I don't even know about this. Cam Robinson, I know he got traded to the Vikings, but Jacksonville fans have wanted him gone for a long, long time. And they're kind of happy he's gone. But, now Walker Little's in there, and I got a joke with my friend that covers them, Kyle Nash, is Walker Little going to play big? And so far he has not. So, just a lot.
Diabolical, like the kids say, diabolical. Is what I think of the Jacksonville Jaguars. What is going on? They have got to make some changes. Like everybody got to go. They got to just because it is so crazy how much Trevor Lawrence has regressed. I'm like, who is this?
I'll say this. Has Trevor Lawrence regressed, or is he not the generational quarterback that we were promised he was?
Ooh.
Because I don't think he's been the generational quarterback that people promised he was. Because if you look at his numbers, they look like a roller coaster. Or you put them, or the Dow Jones. You put it financially for people. They look like the Dow Jones because they keep going up one week, and they for like 5 weeks they'll go up. And then next 5 weeks they'll go down, and they'll go. And I'm like, okay, Trevor, when we gonna get some consistency? And then always the issue that bothers me, I think, is so many people make excuses for how he plays, and I'm like, come on, man. You got to stop it. It's eventually that's a $55 million quarterback, $55 million a year quarterback. You got to quit eventually making excuses for him. He's got to be able to overcome some of the different things that are wrong. That is why they pay you $55 million a year, to overcome things that may be broken, because you're supposed to be the piece that makes it work. You're supposed to be the MacGyver of that offense and figure all of it out.
See, that should have been the get it off your chest.
I've done that one before, so I couldn't do it again.
I mean, I listen. I agree with you. They look bad. They look bad. I mean, Titans don't look good either, but dang. I was really shocked.
Even though
how bad they've gotten.
I would say this, even though they even fight, the Titans, you can say they don't play good. They lost versus the Lions, but did look bad. However, you can say for the majority of the season they have fought and been in games.
Yeah.
With the Jaguars and some of these games, I'm like, okay, did they just mail it in? Did they just were they did they know the game started at 12 and not at 1:30?
That's sometimes diabolical.
I can just imagine them wearing the clown mask again. That's why my mind's kind of going right now. I'm like, yeah, they wear the clown mask again. I'm gonna cut up if they do that. I am going to cut up. But of course, I couldn't talk about the AFC South and not talk about the QB change that happened in Indianapolis. You got Anthony Richardson running and then tapping out, and then you got Joe Flacco going in, and then he come back in, and now you got Joe Flacco supposed to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. Although they didn't score, but maybe 6 points with Joe Flacco against the Minnesota Vikings, and this is supposed to be your quarterback, and you supposedly supposed to be your quarterback that you go back to eventually in terms of Anthony Richardson, and you got the players that like him and love him and are rooting for him. Yet you got an ownership that's kind of said, hey, we're going to ride with him through all of his changes and all of his rough bumps and patches and things like that, only to sit him down after 13 games starting. So to me, I'm just saying what I see. I see players in support of Anthony Richardson, and I see if Joe Flacco don't get it together and start winning some games, that these players ain't going to be happy, and Shane Steichen runs the risk of losing this locker room. Ooh, I mean, that's what I think he runs the risk of. I mean, do you see what I'm seeing, or do you see something different?
No, I see it. And I think that they have not been, to me, I don't feel like Steichen and the rest of the coaching staff or even the front office has been pleased with the product that Anthony Richardson has displayed. And I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back, because unfortunately it does suck that a quarterback can't tap out, because he didn't play for majority of last season with the shoulder. He was battling a hip injury this season. So I don't know, maybe he's not 100% physically, but any other position you can, especially like D-line, like, well, O-line, you probably can't, but the linemen, I know Tavondre Sweat probably like, let me go on and get a breather and come back. You know what I'm saying? And so I do hate that for the kid. And I think it was even worse when he did say like, oh, I was tired. Go. Yeah, I was like, man, can't say that. Like my hip, just be like, oh, my hip hurt, and just go off and catch a breather and come back. You know what I mean? Like you need somebody to kind of tell him how to work, have a workaround, instead of just saying that he was tired, which he didn't lie. But like I said, I think that was a straw that broke the camel's back, and maybe the front office or Shane Steichen felt like, okay, well, gives us an opportunity to bench him, and we can go with Joe Flacco, who they obviously think is the better quarterback. But I don't think that the grass is really greener. Unfortunately, you drafted Anthony Richardson 4th overall last year. Let's not forget that, and you got to give him an opportunity. And I think that it does suck when you have franchises like the Washington Commanders in Jayden Daniels, and it just skyrockets. I think that just puts more pressure on a lot of these younger quarterbacks to get it together and get it together quickly. And I think it was Tom Brady was like, we don't have a culture where a guy gets drafted and he sits behind a veteran quarterback and kind of learn the ropes from him until it's time for them to step up. You get drafted top 5, you got to start tomorrow. You don't really get a lot of time to shake the rust off, and these franchises aren't giving them the opportunity to do so. You got to start and you got to be good. And if you're not good, we sitting you down and we're going to replace you with a 39-year-old quarterback.
That's true. It's quite interesting to watch. I'm just like, okay. But, it to me, they knew they were drafting a developmental quarterback. Yes. They knew what they were getting. They knew it was a guy that was a walking box of talent. They knew that. Yeah. But to me, some of it is, Anthony Richardson not developing, being hurt and things like that. But some of it's also the play calling that surrounds him. I'm like, if you're a quarterback, and I understand, he's a talented quarterback, got a strong arm. Yeah. Why are we throwing can you set him up some easy throws? Can you also use the running game? I mean, it seemed like to me they forgot Jonathan Taylor was on the team a lot of the time and he was starting this year. I mean, it just, to me, prime example, the Green Bay game in the 4th quarter, Jonathan Taylor got 0 carries in that 4th quarter. And it was a close game. He got 0 carries. I totally don't understand that. How does that happen?
And they got to be saying something about it.
Yeah,
I feel like they got to be pushing back on that. If I'm Jonathan Taylor, I would be pushing back on that.
Yeah.
But you're right though about the locker room and Shane Steichen, because it's probably not going to look good. And he may go down for it. Because at the end of the day, like, it's your team. And you're the one making these decisions. So.
Right. Him and Chris Ballard probably might go down. And folks Colts fans been calling for Chris Ballard to be gone since Jesus walked the earth, I think.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna be looking like the Saints in a minute, because that was a disaster.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't have that job. But anyway, we're gonna take a commercial break. I want to talk about these national stories and talk about some of these national teams on tour in the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, we're back on touring the AFC South. Now, of course, we've been touring the AFC South, but we got to go, a little north, south, east, and west, a little national, But
okay.
We're going to start it off with the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? But, the Cowboys fans are not saying that this much these days because, Cowboys are not doing so great. It culminates with a loss to the Atlanta Falcons in Kurt Cobain's and them. I did call him Kurt Cobain's. I did say that. But they lost to the Falcons on the road. Dak hurts his hamstring. He's out for multiple weeks. CeeDee Lamb, shoulder injury, out. He's week to week. So how about them Cowboys? And did really people have expectations for them to be great when you kind of looked at the roster and was like, I don't know about that?
No, and unfortunately I'm glad that they look bad, because I think that Jerry Jones is a horrible general manager and owner. He needs to just go and sit down and have, if you want to just be the owner and hush. Because we don't hear from owners like this. Be the owner and hush, but you need to find somebody, not your own kid, that runs the team. You need to have an outside general manager, because you have proven that it doesn't work. And the fact that you got on a platform and said that you didn't think that Derrick Henry was going to mesh well with your offense shows me that you are a fool. Yeah. Because you have no run game at this time. None. And then y'all just bench Ezekiel Elliott for how many weeks because of disciplinary reasons? Well, you're crumbling. And I think the article that came out about the players feeling like they're zoo animals with the tours and stuff, it's just like, it's not about the team. It's not about winning. I don't feel like it's about winning with Jerry Jones. It's all about the money that he makes from the fans. And unfortunately, he has these diehard fans that are going to show up. I will say, though, that I went to the Lions and Cowboys game, and it was a lot of Lions fans in there. A lot of Lions fans in there. And when he gets to a point where there's more, when it looks like the Titans game, where it's a lot more of the opposing fan base there than your own fan base, then you realize, like, okay, I got to make a change. But you cannot be distracting your team because they're trying to be in the weight room and people are knocking on the glass. Come on, dude. I've never seen that before in my life. Ever. Or you're flying down in your helicopter during practice. Like he's not going to be satisfied until they go winless. He's just not.
Yeah, it's interesting. Honestly, I heard, I believe, they could have restructured some contracts and things like that to kind of fit Derrick Henry into that team. A few different things there, but I think they had more contract issues to work out that they took forever to work out. and that's why he couldn't fit there. But kind of looking at that aspect.
But get it done, because Derek, like, that is where he lives in the off season. He has a home in Dallas. Like, he would have loved to be a Dallas Cowboy. And Derrick Henry is a guy that you don't have to, like, you fit your offense around him. Like, nobody questioned him being in Baltimore with a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Nobody questioned it. They were like, they're going to make it work because it's Derrick Henry. You just give him the ball and he goes. Like, I don't understand that. And it's just crazy. Even the way that he talks about his players. Was that on Jamie Foxx's? Was that Jamie Foxx on his live? And he was talking.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
It's too much going on. It's too much going on. And I'm so glad that he gets embarrassed every week. I hate to say that, but it's just like, you don't know what you're doing, Jerry. You don't.
Yeah, Jerry thinks because he was an old lineman in Arkansas that he knows what he's doing, and he really doesn't. He really just does not. No. He just got money. That's the only thing with Jerry. Jerry just got money, and usually sometimes people would get money. I don't know. I don't know what's between. I would say this. I don't think he's as bad as Tepper is, but he's I don't know. Like, maybe Tepper's taking lessons from him. I don't know, but both of those owners are, boy, oh boy, they are. They're at least. He just looks terrible. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. See, he's making me sick. I don't know what it is, but you don't know what you're doing. And you care about making money, and it's going to be a point where nobody's showing up at Jerry's World because they don't want to see this embarrassment. Well, people will show up. It just won't be the people that will be cheering for his team.
Exactly.
Next team, they have a lot of people show up at their stadium that don't cheer for them. That would be the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, because you look at the stadium every time turn around, it's every other team that's winning, every other team that's playing there, they're in the crowd more than the actual Rams fans. Which, I would say this: the Rams, even though I like the Rams team, in terms of their fan base, they're kind of like the nomads of the NFL in terms of their fans. But they are. If you notice it, they are kind of the nomads of the NFL. I don't know.
I think it's their karma. I hate that they even won a Super Bowl. I hate that because they literally gave up everything to do it, and they haven't been able to rebound from that. But I do think it's their karma. And if you go ask anybody in St. Louis,
oh boy,
they are excited about Stan Kroenke getting these losses and stuff. It's so funny. I'll tell you a story. When I was in Wichita Falls, Texas, this is when I was doing news. Stan Kroenke came out and bought a piece of land. I shouldn't even say a piece of land because I want to say the land, it was 550,000 acres of land. I don't know if I've ever told you the story. It was for like $750 million because he's married to a Walmart heiress or whatever. So he bought this, huge piece of land in Texas, and it wasn't far from where I lived in Wichita Falls. It was like in Electra. That was the name of the town. And there was like this lake. It was called Lake Diversion, and people could go out there and live out there. You just pay like rent on the land, unfortunately. And people had built homes. They lived out there for decades. And when he bought the land, he gave them like 6 months to leave.
Dang.
And I did all of these stories about the people. Like every week I was telling another story because they were fighting, to stay on the property. And I think I actually went back there like a year later and the houses were still there. He hadn't torn them down or anything. He could have allowed those people to stay on this. Think about it, 550,000 acres. And what's so crazy is the story made national news. And I did all of these interviews with people from St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
All of these radio stations, they had me come on and talking about the people that lived on Lake Diversion, because obviously they can't stand Kroenke. They hate the man, and they hate that they built this stadium and he moved to LA. So if you ask anybody, like I said, in St. Louis, they could give a rat's behind about Kroenke or if the Rams are winning or not. So
That's true. But they have won 3 straight, though. I will say this, though. They have won 3 straight. Including the win against Seattle, where Matt Stafford rolls out and finds Robinson down the left side, catches it with one hand, and I couldn't believe that actually happened. they're in the NFC West, though. They're in the NFC West. It's kind of all bunched up there. Could you see a scenario where they make another run again with this team? And you got Puka Nacua coming back.
No,
you got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp coming back. And
Puka was back and he swung on a guy and got ejected. I hope not. I felt like watching that game. I felt like Seattle kept shooting themselves in the foot. I'm like, we have seen Seattle play they played the Lions tough. And so I'm like, how are y'all getting up here looking crazy like this? I think it's Geno braids. They may be too tight. Because something ain't going on. Something is wrong.
I didn't know Geno had braids. I thought he was just going with the shag from the 80s. That's all I thought he was going with.
I did, and then he showed up with the braids, and they are tight because he don't have that much hair. So whoever did him, shout out to them. But that may be something.
Geno's what, in his 30s now? He's in his mid 30s. Yeah, Geno, it's time for locks time, man. It ain't time for braids time.
Him and Jameis got those braids.
Jameis, that's the Reverend Jameis Winston of the Ebenezer Baptist Church on the side of the road. That is who that is.
I know 2 rocks on the side of the road in Jericho. Because where are you going? Listen, I like Jameis. I ain't gonna be on him too hard.
Yeah, Jameis cracks me up though. He does crack me up though. I do tune in to see what he's going to say every single time. He gets me every time. But we are going to talk about one team that does have another former Titan. That is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers. Boy, oh boy, that was an ugly loss to the Detroit Lions. I mean, honestly, you would think the Detroit Lions play outside the way they played against the Green Bay Packers, because the Green Bay Packers were fumbling the ball over the place. They had a backup center, so he was snapping the ball all over the place. You had Jordan Love. I mean, honestly, he threw one pass, one interception, and I was like, I don't know what was going on with that, but I just had to scratch my head. But,
Listen. I am on the Malik Willis train. I'm never getting off, Mike. I'm never getting off the Malik Willis train. And I think that Jordan Love is not 100%. Because I'm trying to think what
he pulled his groin during that game too.
Exactly. What would that game have looked like with Malik?
Well, I've thought about that. I've thought about that too. This is what I thought. I thought the game plan was built around Jordan Love, so that's why he was still trying to play out there. And I don't know if Malik's game plan would be the same as Jordan's, because Malik does use his legs a lot more. So that's why I think kind of maybe I got where they try to keep Jordan Love in, but on a rainy field with a pulled groin, I think
against the Detroit Lions. I mean, I get it. Like, he is your guy, but that was a division. Like, you needed to give your team the best chance to win. And I think you starting a quarterback that is still battling injury. He's trying to come back, like you said, in the rain, on the grass. It was slippery. I just didn't feel like Jordan Love gave them the best opportunity to win, to be honest with you. But that's
their decision, I guess.
LaFleur knows, right? I mean, y'all at practice. I'm not at practice, so I don't know what it looks like. But like I said, I'm on the Malik Willis train. I'm biased.
Yeah, I actually was happy for Malik when he actually got traded to Green Bay. The only reason I was happy for him is because he's going so. No offense to anything with the Titans or anything like that at all, but I would say that he actually. Green Bay has a history of developing quarterbacks. Tampa Bay. Tennessee does not have a history of developing quarterbacks. So that's why I was like, okay, he's going to a guy that's actually going to develop him, and you can just see the improvements that he's made over time. So, I'm happy for Malik, and I think Malik's going to get a bag eventually. He's not going to get a big bag. He's going to get some kind of bag, more of a bag than he.
I'll take a little bag. I'll take a little bag now over any bag. But I agree. And I think even him, like that, like redemption arc, like going back to a place that really didn't even, I hate to say it, but didn't believe in him, didn't give him a true shot. And, we've talked about this before. So to come back to Nashville and kind of stick it to him, I was so happy. Like, I was really cheering for him that game. Like, shout out to him. And I think it was really great to see all of his former teammates praising him too after after the game and going up to him and congratulating him on the win.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him.
I just wondered in my thinking, I'm just wondering, can Jordan Love kind of get it together? Because he's thrown a lot of interceptions this year. He's thrown some ones that make you scratch your head too. Like, okay, Jordan, they just paid you, man. You ain't supposed to make them kind of interceptions anymore. See? But is he going to? I'm just wondering in my mind, is he going to get it together? Because last year he caught fire going into the playoffs, and he almost beat San Francisco, for a couple throws.
Yeah,
but. This year I'm wondering, is he catch fire again, or is this just an off year perhaps for Jordan Love? Because he just does not seem right with the injuries and just the understanding of the offense to me.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. It's those injuries. I don't think he's 100%. And I think if you sit here trying to, maybe you don't have the mental capacity, because I don't think I would, to be able to make decisions all while you're in pain or you're worried about if you move a certain way. You can tell that is impacting him in a certain way. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward. I mean, I guess they're going to keep playing them, but I mean, that was, listen, I mean, Detroit is a good team, but that is, you need that divisional win. We know that. And so you really only had 6 points for real. Yeah. Because that last touchdown was just kind of whatever.
Yeah. It's just cosmetic at that point. Yeah. The bar from what is it? I don't know who usually says that, but somebody usually says that on there, but I can't remember. But anyway, it was fun going down the lane, the AFC South lane, talking about the Titans and talking about all the things that you have going on. But of course, we don't end the show just like that. We always have a game. It's 5 questions to answer one choice. Are you ready?
Sure. Because I'm scared.
She seems so enthused. Let's see. All right. Which producer are you taking? Lil Jon or Jermaine Dupri?
Oh God. Oh man.
It's a tough one, I know. It's a tough one.
Tough because they both have some bangers. I'm gonna only go JD because of how wide the range is of what he's been able to produce. Not to say that Lil Jon, I love Lil Jon, but he does the crunk, and then he came out and was doing like some housey type stuff. But I feel like JD can go in every genre, and he's made classics in each. So I'm gonna go Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine Dupri, simply on the strength that he revived Mariah Carey's career. I give him that one. He did. You remember, nobody's talking about her.
Right. And he produced one of the best albums of all time in Confessions. So, yes. Come on. Yeah.
Now, everybody thought that was about Usher. That was actually about Jermaine Dupri.
It was about him,
by the way.
Shout out to him.
Yeah. Yep. And Lil Jon can't say he did that, even though he did give you Lovers and Friends. He did give us Lovers. All right. Man. Better vacation spot, LA or New York?
I'm probably gonna go Los Angeles. Yeah.
I do. I will say Los Angeles because the vibes out there are just immaculate. The vibes are great.
I like LA. I like New York too, but
New York in the summertime. I gotta go summertime. Not the winter.
This I'm saying. Look, Mike, I live in Detroit now, so I don't have my coat yet, but it's cold. It's already cold up here. I'm not used to this.
Just don't sing that song though about it being cold up there. You know what song I'm talking about?
It's so cold.
Yeah, that song. Yeah, that song was hilarious, man. But all right, you guys, we got 2 actors. You got to take one of their portfolios of work, and you got to throw the other one away. Yeah, that's the look you're gonna give when I give you the 2 people: Samuel L. Jackson or Denzel Washington.
Oh, Denzel.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna tell Sam you said that. But now I'm playing. I'm joking.
Sorry.
All right. 2 characters in The Best Man. Which one did you like the most? Morris Chestnut or Terrence Howard? Now, I know
what's crazy is I need to rewatch that.
Okay.
Like there's like a lot of movies that I feel like now that I'm like old, I'm over 30. I'm like, I need to rewatch some of these classics because I feel like I can like better understand. And I feel like The Best Man for sure is one of them. I want to say like maybe I need to rewatch
Probably
like
Loving
Love and
Basketball.
Basketball. Yes.
Yeah.
Like now that I'm like an adult, I need to rewatch these. So I'll come back on that one.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
nice little smooth segue on that one. I'm gonna let you slide on that one. All right. Now we just passed Halloween. So we're gonna go scary movie or a comedy. Which one are you taking?
You know, I kind of like scary movies.
Oh, same as me.
I like a good scary movie. I like a good scary series. Like I love a good American Horror Story. Now sometimes maybe a little off, but for the most part, and what else is scary that I've been watching? Oh Lord.
Yeah, I'm gonna name one in a minute, but I'm gonna name two in a minute, but keep going though.
Series?
Yep, a series of movies. All right, you got Saw. Jigsaw is my favorite all-time scary movie character of all time. But it that could really happen
though. Gore. You like gore.
No. I don't like gore though. The reason why I like it is because those movies make you think. They're gory, but they also have an element of making you think. Because it's almost like a riddle in what he's telling you.
Because there's always a way that they could have done it without hurting people too much. If they
hurting people or hurting themselves,
hurting themselves too much. They could have done. You're right. Okay.
I do like that one, and the other one is called Terrifier. That one's I haven't watched it yet either. I watched all of them yet, I should say. I've watched one of them. A guy named Artie the Clown. Oh boy.
See now
he's he's a little out there. He's a little out there. Yeah, that one might be a little gory. I know I did watch Mr. Crockett though, that came on Hulu. I don't know if you watched that one.
No.
It's about a kid's show. It's a kid's show. He's what is he? He says a friend like you is a friend like me, and he's like literally watching you through the TV. So if the parents like getting onto them or something like that, he like literally can come through the TV and like kill the parents, take the kid back into the TV with him. Yeah.
I'm gonna go turn some lights on because that's too no, that's too.
And that movie, when you hear his backstory in the movie, you understand how he's able to do those things when you hear his backstory in the actual movie.
Well, so like two that aren't scary, but kind of scary.
You, right?
Is them. Both seasons of them.
I watched both of those.
And I actually have the book right here, but Lovecraft Country. Oh, let's knock some stuff. Now that's one that's kind of scary, but it still has a good story. So I like that. That whatever you was just talking about, that's too much. Right. But I will say that some parts of them were really scary.
Yes.
And even Lovecraft Country with those little girls that was dancing. I said, oh, wait a minute. I can't believe that they only gave them one season.
Yeah, no, I'm still mad about that too. I'm mad about it. But I like gory movies somewhat, but I will say this in the first 5 minutes of Mr. Crockett. Yeah, I was eating while I watched it, and I had to pause it and like, I'm gonna have to come back to this because I'm gonna throw up my food watching this. It was rough. I was like, oh nah. Yeah, I chose the wrong time to eat food to watch that.
So that means I will not be eating. I will not be watching that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ready for that one. I like I don't mind the gory movies if it has like a point to it that makes you think. I don't mind that part.
Right. Yeah.
Now Jigsaw, I haven't seen Saw X. That's the only one I haven't seen. I've seen every single one of them except for Saw X, which
I think I only watched one. And
the first one, Danny Glover, Carrie Ells in it, and then the second one had the dude from New Kids on the Block. You remember the one that went into acting? The one that went into acting, I can't remember what his name is. Not Mark Wahlberg, but Donnie Wahlberg had Donnie Wahlberg in it. And he was actually playing a police officer in it like he does in Blue Bloods. And it was really good. It actually was really, really good. And at the end of it, basically he got fooled into, and basically it tied back into Saw 1. So Todd saw 2, tied back and saw 1, then saw 3,
okay.
tied back to saw 2 and 1, and then
Yeah.
4, tied to 3, 2 and 1. So it all kind of goes like that, pretty much. But all right, we have reached the end of the game, and Samaria is like, Mike, why did you tell me about all this nasty Halloween movies? But yeah, we have reached the end of 5 games, 2 answers, and 1 choice. Samaria, it was great catching up with you.
Yes.
I'm happy for all the great, wonderful things that you're doing now. Hopefully continue to see you out there doing some great, wonderful things as well as you blaze your own pattern or your own trail, I should say. I said pattern like I'm calling a play. Good gracious. But if you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's just Samaria Terry TV on all of my platforms except for Twitter. I was lucky enough to just get Samaria Terry. And once you find my platform, then you can find my other things that I'm working on. So yeah. And thank you again.
Yeah, of course. Now, of course, if you don't know, it's the Fumble. You can catch that on YouTube, and you can also catch No Girls Allowed in the Locker Room podcast. I've watched a couple of that, and I've watched the episode you talked about with talking about you did not like going in the locker room, and I saw that clip. So, but yeah, it's definitely 2 entertaining shows. Yeah, I definitely know because you know who actually I thought was going to get mad at me in the locker room one time.
Who?
Andre Dillard. That was the game where it was the preseason game, I think, where he didn't play as well, and I was kind of going over it.
When did he play well?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I ain't want to say it, but anyway, I went to the locker room and was going to actually ask him a question. Man, I'm not always dressed. I'm halfway dressed, man. You see that? I'm like, oh, my bad, man. Sorry. Just going to ask you a question, but never mind. But I will say the 2 people I did like to talk to, they're 2 people that I've always talked to. And I always are like, they're always there to answer your questions. And, I can just walk up to them one-on-one or wherever. Aziz Alshire, he talked to me. He waited on me. He waited on me one week because he saw me coming. He said, hold up, I'm not going to answer till my guy gets over here. And Amani Hooker. Hooker always talks. Even the game he got cleated in the face. He had a whole stitch in the side of his face and still was talking. I was like, man, this dude right here, I like this guy.
And it's kind of rare. Like I definitely miss like Kevin Byard and guys like that.
I definitely miss Kevin.
Always talked, always was positive, always were very, very positive. So miss those guys. It's very rare though when you get a guy like that that'll be open to talking to you. But apparently now they're kind of telling people they don't want to talk. A lot of guys are saying that now. So
I miss Kevin because Kevin actually on the practice field, he would be out there walking around, he'd have his kids or whatever. He'd say, hey, can I get a moment? Yeah, just give me a minute. And we were sitting there literally talking one time about we were both doing a doing a fast, doing like a little bit of a fast. We were both talking about what we were eating or snacks and stuff like that. We literally did that for like 10 minutes before we actually did after the interview. I was like, well, man, I didn't really expect that conversation to happen.
Yeah.
But it did. So it is what it is. But yeah, well, of course, I have to tell the people who I am. So if they don't know, but I am Mike Patton, host of Touring the AFC South. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82 on artist formerly known as Twitter. Word to Prince, by the way. And then also you can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA.THE_general_MP. Touring the AFC South, you can find on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And we're also on YouTube at the Mike Patton Network. I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of Touring the AFC South, episode 306, Fumbles and Scores with Samaria Terry. We're out. Peace.